Will Mosley, I think it's finally the time we can have the conversation that you've been wanting to have for 6 weeks now.
He's not.
I never thought that I would say this, but I think that we can start talking about who winning majors again.
If we can't talk about it now, when are you going to let me talk about it? If you're not going to let me talk about it after the dude comes out at the PGA Championship and goes 65, 68, 65, 71 and ignites a crowd like people haven't seen since like 2008 when he was doing it. When am I going to be able to talk about it? He's back. I don't have to be shy about it anymore. I don't have to hedge my bets. I don't have to watch out for it. I said on these airwaves just a couple weeks ago, I don't think he's going to win one. I don't think he's going to win two. I think he is going to win 3 majors before he's done. And I think that by the end of this season, he's proven me right, that he's probably going to do those things, or at least has the capability to do them. It's real again.
I think at points throughout this season, this golf season, and to extent throughout this podcast, I've been accused of being a Tiger hater, but there's nothing to hate anymore. Watching him walk down the 18th fairway yesterday with 5,000 people running behind him to the point where security had to push people away so that he could get through to the green was something that I've never seen before, not in major championship golf, not anywhere before. And the reason is Tiger. He does that. Tiger is back. Golf is back. This is something, him winning this tournament is so significant because it keeps golf relevant for another 4 or 5 months until we get to Augusta, until we get to that season again where he has another 4 chances to start winning majors again. And it's realistic. It's realistic to say once again that he can go out and win majors.
I believe it was on Saturday, the most Tiger energy moment that could define what it is to watch Tiger Woods play golf happened when I was watching on my phone at a music festival this weekend, and he drains a birdie putt on the back 9. And everyone immediately leaves to catch him on the next tee. And Rory McIlroy, one of the best golfers in the world, is left standing on the green to finish his putt pretty much by himself because no one cares. And if that doesn't say how much more he matters than any other golfer, I don't know what does.
I agree entirely. I don't think that we've seen the Tiger effect like we saw yesterday in a very long time. Rory McIlroy was bad yesterday, and the reason he was bad was exactly what you were talking about. Everything, every eye in that entire place, every person on that golf course yesterday, every person watching the tournament was watching for one reason only, and that was Tiger. And Rory and everyone else got absolutely drowned out by it. And we've talked before about some of the negatives about relying on one person to sort of carry your sport. But at the same time, when that one person is great, the sport is great. And we have another LeBron James level athlete again to cover. And it's in a sport that I love. And I love everything about it.
What I found interesting as more of a casual golf fan, and as more of a casual golf fan is I was watching SportsCenter before going into work today, and one of the anchors, that honestly, this is terrible reporting, but I forget his name, was talking about how he was on the plane the other day going back to Connecticut to do a show in the morning, and when Tiger won, he was still on the plane, but everyone was watching on their phones, and the entire airplane started to clap and cheer. Just on the way from like LA to Connecticut, the entire plane was just clapping just because Tiger won the PGA Tour. I thought that is just like you said, we're back, dude. We're back to watching Tiger and seeing how he does. It's just crazy to think that, it's just crazy that that's happening again.
I will say this. I think one thing I really respect about golf as a game is that it's the one sport where I think for the most part, a lot of the purists still enjoy a guy like Tiger. With basketball, I think 50% of people hate LeBron and want to see him fail. And the same thing with tennis and Serena. But with golf, I think that most people, and Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think most people generally want to see Tiger succeed. And it's only good for the sport. And I think that's the best part about this, is that people recognize that golf, a sport that probably hasn't been doing as well in the last 5 years as it had been the 5 years before it, has a really good shot because of Tiger winning.
So I agree that now in 2018, people want to see Tiger win. The majority of people want to see Tiger Woods win. What I would ask you boys is, how did we get here? I mean, not only how did we get to this point on the golf course where this dude had spinal fusion surgery and is winning a year after, and a year ago, almost to the day, he was pulled over for a DUI and people thought he was addicted to painkillers. So you have the things happening on the course. But what about the things happening off the course? How has Tiger been able to change public perception to a point where we are all rooting for the guy, where an airplane full of people is feeling the need to cheer that man when, let's be honest, not all that long ago, he was not a tremendously popular human being?
I think there's a couple things. And I think Tiger Woods, in a lot of ways, kind of epitomizes American society as a whole right now, right? Let's be honest, sex addiction and prescription painkillers are just where they were at the precipice of Tiger's fall, and where they are now in the context of Twitter and just everything that kind of we see on a daily basis are not the same thing. Two, Tiger is the one universally loved athlete that I can really think of, in the fact that he kind of appeals to a lot of different people. He's a Stanford educated golfer. He's also Black and Asian.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you mean, but I am wondering why we still universally love him. Like, I get it, Alec, that he brings all of these qualities and he's the greatest golfer ever, arguably, that I mean, at least that we've ever seen. But I do think that it's something crazy that he had the falls that he did and were this quick to just take him back. There are people that, still hate Kobe because he had allegations. There are people who forgave him, but it wasn't a wholehearted forgiving like it seems like we forgave Tiger. Obviously different circumstances, obviously much different things happened. And I think that what he was into, you're correct. I think that the fact that it's sex addiction, the fact that it's prescription drugs does help because, it kind of feels a little more relatable. It's stuff that, I think the average human does maybe deal with a lot more than some of the other problems that we've seen athletes have. And for that reason, I think it might be a little easier to relate to Tiger. But it very much amazes me that we are at a point where he's universally loved again when, like Andrew said, people were just spitting on him 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, Will. I don't know that Tiger is popular again because he's sort of emblematic of some of these things that we've become desensitized to, though I think that's a good point, Alec. We have probably become desensitized to some of the things that have happened around Tiger Woods in the last little bit. But what people, I think, identify with about Tiger is just that this is a second chance. This is a guy who thought that his career was over. He thought that he was going to go be a stay-at-home dad. And now he's getting to do what he loves to do at the highest level again. And there is something about that that we can all identify with.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something to point out here is that this isn't just like a defamation of character, right? This isn't sex addiction and prescription drugs that really caused the fall of Tiger Woods. it's injury. There's a real comeback story in here that's got nothing to do with him repairing public image.
So in that fact, do you think that Tiger Woods would be hated right now if he would not have had the drop off that he did after the like media problems, after his sex addiction, after the prescription drugs? If he would not have had this fall from grace as it came to, you know, his injuries, would people hate him? Would people look at him and, you know, not be on his side now if he wouldn't have gotten as bad as he did to get this good again?
I mean, I think to a certain extent, we really like to give people second chances, and that's the reason that we're so drawn to Tiger Woods now. But you have to remember that when Tiger won his last major in 2008, that was a huge story at the time. He did that on one leg, and he seemed like a superhero. Now, he just seems like a different sort of superhero now than he was in 2008. You know what I mean? Like then it was, oh my gosh, Tiger's incredible. He'll do whatever it takes to win. He's a savage to a certain extent, right? He's just an incredible athlete who's going to do absolutely whatever it takes, and he can go to a special level that no one else can go to. And yesterday, it felt more human. It felt like this is a guy who has worked so hard, who has had so much doubt surrounding him for so long, and he did something incredible. He won when most people thought that he would never be able to win again. And it's the best thing happening in sports right now. It's going to turn the Ryder Cup this weekend into an absolutely colossal event that everyone is going to watch because Tiger is involved in it. And that makes golf great. And it also makes sports great.
I've got a question. At what point does this go from comeback story to pressure on him winning to
now,
oh my God, we've waited, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years for him to win, and he really only won one tournament?
I mean, right now, man, that's what I was saying at the start of the segment when I told Will that we can finally have the conversation. He's won one. He won a big one. There was a 20-minute stretch yesterday where he actually had a chance to win the entire tour championship, to win the event and win the FedEx Cup, which would have been an even bigger story and also a $10 million payday for him. He was a Justin Rose birdie away from that. So right now, man, as we've said before, he always has a chance at Augusta. Until he can no longer swing a club or drive the ball 300 yards off the tee, he's going to have a chance every year at the Masters. So that's one chance right there. And then the British and the PGA, where the courses are a little bit shorter and a premium is put on iron play, he's going to have really good chances at those majors as well. So I don't know that's appropriate to put pressure on a man who's already won 14 majors. I think he puts a lot of pressure on himself, but for the time being, we can all just be ecstatic that Tiger Woods is back and playing golf at an exceptionally high level again, and we can celebrate that. That makes sports so much better.
Yeah.
You can cut that, right, Matt?
Sorry, I didn't know you were.
Yeah, that was not.
I saw the 1 minute pop up. I didn't see you would do that. My bad.
Matt, can you?
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, of course.
That'll do.
That was good. Sorry, I had absolutely nothing to say on that. I didn't watch.
Oh, you're good, man. I mean, we got a lot. You got your own segment coming up, so we need you. Okay. NFL Week 3 recap.
Okay, let's run through.
What are we? We're 4 minutes into the game. Roethlisberger's 4 for 4. Patrick's 0 for 2.
How many catches does Juju have? All 4?
No, he spread it out between Vance McDonald, James Conner, Antonio Brown, and Ryan Switzer.
Hey, he just threw an interception. So I guess I got you on a little bit in the way because he just threw an interception.
Ryan Switzer is one of the college football highlights wise.
Oh,
Ryan
I have a
Switzer's
perfect
freshman years.
All right, I'm not saying we have to go immediately into this, but I have a perfect place that we can segue into this NFL segment.
Okay.
So whenever you guys are ready, no rush at all.
Yeah, I'm just looking back
Actually, I'm
down the
gonna get up
scores
for a
to
second.
recap real quick. Let's see. Adrian Peterson had a big day beating the shit out of the Packers. Panthers beat the Bengals. Saints beat the Falcons in OT. Eagles won with Wentz back. The Bills beat the shit out of the Vikings. Dolphins are 3-0. I'll just leave that right there. I'm going to give an update on that every week.
Dolphins are 3-0 and fun to watch.
Yeah, the Dolphins are 3-0. I'll just leave it at that.
Is Jay Cutler retired?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Tannehill.
Yeah.
Well, Jay Cutler's retired for now. He may be getting a call from the 49ers at some point this week.
No, the Browns should finesse Tyrod over to the 49ers.
Oh.
Okay, so a couple things. That's a good reminder, Will. I know it's going to be really hard to do this, but don't talk about the Browns or Baker Mayfield this segment.
Yep.
We got a whole segment to do that.
Yep.
And then the other thing is just we all clearly have a lot of takes that we want to give on the NFL, and it's a short time. So make logical transitions. But, we can keep it fast-paced and sort of rapid-fire because I'm sure people have a lot of things to say.
Yeah.
And then just know that at some point toward the beginning of this, I'm going to whip us through an intro real quick because we didn't do that in the first segment.
Yeah, I got you. Just looking back through.
Yeah, we can take like 40 seconds, probably more. I'm just trying to keep track because you said 80 minutes was the limit.
I'm ready to roll when you are.
Okay.
I'm good to go.
Have you? Yeah. I'll get us going here in a sec. Have you guys seen these fake Ryan Fitzpatrick beards that Tampa Bay fans are wearing?
No, but that might be the next thing I buy.
Yeah, they're incredible. Fitzmagic.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they're amazing. Fitzmagic is a very real thing. And I don't know if you saw what Deshaun Jackson wore into the stadium tonight, but if Tampa wins tonight and Fitzpatrick decides to rock Deshaun Jackson's outfit again or just the jewelry that he was wearing, it's going to be another sight to behold because it looked like about twice the amount of bling that he had on last week when Fitzpatrick decided to rock it after the game.
Amazing.
But anyway, this is from the Nosebleeds podcast here, hanging out on a Monday night, watching a little bit of Monday Night Football over my shoulder, but also talking sports and having some fun with my very good friends. That would be Mac Young, Will Mosley, and our good friend Alec Uecki, returning from a week off. Alec, how's it going, man?
Great, guys. Great,
yeah, good. Well, I'm glad to hear everything's good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, another week of the NFL. Week 3 is wrapping up probably in about, a couple hours here. One more game to go. And so a lot of things to talk about for sure. I know Mac has one that he really wants to get to, but we will take some time for that later. So, Will Mosley, your biggest takeaway from NFL Week 3 is?
I don't understand anything about the NFL. I just don't understand anything. I thought the Vikings were good. They're not. I thought rookie quarterbacks weren't going to be showing out. And, Josh Allen made the Vikings look dumb. And I think we should give the Ben Simmons Rookie of the Year treatment to Patrick Mahomes and maybe give him MVP too, automatically put him in the Hall of Fame. I don't know. That dude looks as good as anyone ever has. I don't get the NFL. That's what I took away from this week. I looked across the scoreboards and I just don't understand. I saw 2009 Adrian Peterson running all over my Green Bay Packers defense. And I just don't get it.
Football, man. I mean, isn't this what we said last week when we were talking about it? There's no explanation for what Ryan Fitzpatrick is doing over my shoulder right now on Monday Night Football as a backup quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who no one expected to have to do anything for this season. It's football. The Buffalo Bills pulled off the largest upset in the sport in how long yesterday? I saw a crazy statistic that I'm going to have to track down real quick. But it
95.
Thank you,
is the
Alec.
year.
It was a colossal upset, and all you can say is football.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was incredible. The one other game that probably stuck out the most besides those two, I think everyone has been watching this team since week 1. But the Dolphins are 3-0.
But are they?
They're 3-0. I'll just double check that real quick.
Okay,
They have not lost a football game. They have a better record than the New England Patriots. And I'm not gonna jump the gun and say Miami's gonna win the division. They're gonna, go into the playoffs and do great things. But who expected them to be 3-0?
Okay, I have to be very careful what I say here. First and foremost, they have wins over Oakland and the New York Jets. And I understand that the Jets had an impressive win in week 1. That's something that I'm going to get to a little bit later when we talk about Baker Mayfield. But they haven't beaten anyone of significance yet. And if they want to prove that they're for real, they're going to have a chance this weekend because they're going up to New England and the Patriots are going to be as desperate as they've ever been. Because if they lose that game, they will be 3.5 games back in the division through 4 games of a season. And even for the Patriots, that is a deficit that is going to be hard to overcome with only 12 games left.
Yeah, I mean, I think the real story here is that there's kind of a transition, or at least a changing of the guard happening in the AFC this season, it seems to be. If you look over the last 15 years, in at least 10 of those seasons, half of the playoff teams in the AFC have been made up of Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, and Peyton Manning, because Peyton Manning made 10 straight from. But either way, the Steelers have a worse record than the Browns. If they lose tonight, they'll have a worse record than the Jets. They'll have a worse record than the Bills. Brady will have the same record as the Bills and the same record as the Browns. And I'm really intrigued to see who fills that vacuum.
If you're a fan of New England, should you be worried right now? Or is it still pretty early to be worried about Tom Brady? Because they haven't looked good so far, man. They're looking pretty mediocre.
I think yes.
Yeah? You think they should be worried?
I don't know if you guys get those games because, in Connecticut, that's one of our local games. So I watched the entire game. And the real truth is they have portions of their offense that they're just missing weapons-wise. They don't have a deep threat that people care about. Philip Dorsett does not take the top off of defense, and neither does Chris Hogan. Brandon Cooks used to. Well,
I get you on Brandon Cooks used to, but didn't they just I get it. He's not going to fix the problems. We don't know if he's going to, come in and immediately impact. But we did a whole segment last week, and every news outlet was covering the fact that New England got one of the most talented receivers that we've seen in previous years when he's on the field. And if he does end up on the field, I think that solves that problem. I don't know if you can just draw that they're going to be okay because they got him. But I don't know. I don't watch as much New England Patriot football as someone who lives in that part of the country, obviously. But I watch enough that it does seem like at this time every year, ESPN has a 30-minute fucking segment on how the Patriots are falling apart. Now, Tom Brady's not going to make it. And then in 3 weeks, we're all like, oh, yeah, never mind. The Patriots are back to being the best team in football. So yet again, I'm not going to say that they're not, facing some serious problems. But at the same time last year, when they got blown out by Kansas City in the opener and they looked like they had a lot of problems, they came back and made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just don't want to be put up on some montage in 4 months when the Patriots win the Super Bowl of me talking all this shit about how they looked old and unathletic in the first 4 weeks of the season, which is true. They looked really old and unathletic. And Alec, if that continues, then yeah, you should absolutely be really worried. The thing that I brought up last week and the thing that I will say again is this: Tom Brady is showing an inability to escape the pocket at all. And when he's put under pressure whatsoever, instead of being able to get the ball out quickly, like he's been doing for the past several years because he hasn't been mobile at all, he's just falling down. He's simply falling down, and that's not something that you can have. And so all those 3-and-outs that you saw last night, part of that is due to the fact that defenses just know that he can't move. And when you know that the quarterback can't move, that sort of takes a dimension out of the offense, and it's something that you don't have to defend against.
But I think a large part of that, though, is the fact that he doesn't have receivers who create separation. He has to stay in the pocket, and he has to keep his eyes downfield for 5-6 seconds, at which point he gets sacked. And maybe with Edelman coming back, you see a little bit of that change. But the real truth is you can sit in a zone, you can play on top of almost every receiver the Pats have right now.
I agree with what you're saying. I mean, look at the stats for Tom Brady's career. The 1 year where he had Randy Moss sticks out like a sore thumb, or the 1 or 2 years of how many he had Randy Moss on his team. So clearly having better receivers is going to boost his stats. And all these people out here saying that Josh Gordon is going to immediately step in and be a difference maker, that could be so, but Mac Young shaking his head when Will Mosley brings up Josh Gordon before, that is an attitude that people have about him for a reason. I'm not sure that Josh Gordon is someone that you can just trust to come in and be your number one immediately, on the field or off the field.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not that I'm going to say that Josh Gordon's going to fix all their problems. I'm just going to be weary of saying that a problem in September for the New England Patriots is even going to be a problem by Halloween for those same New England Patriots. They find a way to fix the problems. And I mean, last week, what the media was so taken over by was the fact that, yeah, they lost, but they lost to the team that they beat in the AFC Championship last year. It looked like they were a lot worse than the Jags. And then the Jags turned around this week and put up 6 points on the Titans. So I'm just like, that was the team I was scared of taking over for them. And if they can't do it, then maybe New England is going to bounce back, and all these teams are going to revert to what we have seen them be for most of our sports watching lives.
Do we lose Will?
No.
No?
Yeah, did we lose?
We lost Andrew.
Yeah, we lost Andrew.
So what do you guys so we lost Andrew, but we're going to keep on moving because that's just what we do. What do you guys think on Pat Mahomes? Where's he at right now? How many touchdowns has that guy thrown?
13.
He's thrown 13, which is the
13.
most. Yeah, the most in 3 weeks for any player in NFL history, which is impressive. As an Eagles fan, I want to say that that's Andy Reid magic right there. But Donovan McNabb never did that.
No.
If you watch Pat Mahomes throw the ball, it is the most effortless thing in the world.
Dude, that on-the-run pass into the end zone, the corner of the end zone yesterday, I forget even who the receiver was. Might have been Tyreek Hill, might have been Travis. It doesn't matter. That throw was amazing. And on the run, just threw it like a baseball, but it had a perfect spiral right to the side of the end zone. He's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the dude's phenomenal. He's balled out every week, looked better and better, and Kansas City looked smarter and smarter for the Alex Smith deal every day. Sitting a quarterback for a year, letting him develop, and all of those Pat Mahomes haters from last year, just like Andrew doesn't want a montage of, him saying bad things about the Patriots. There's a lot of people who have montages of them talking trash about Pat Mahomes who look really stupid right now. I don't think that we can pencil him in to just, like go to the Super Bowl or carry a team that far this year or anything like that, or, just claim that the Kansas City is going to be deep in the playoffs because, we've seen Andy Reid, screw up time management and everything else when it comes to in-game stuff before late in the season. but the dude looks scary, and he looks like when you're playing Madden on easy.
And I think something to be said for that. Name a team in the AFC that you think looks better than the Chiefs. Right?
Yeah.
Like maybe the
Nope.
Rams in the NFC, but probably not another team in the AFC.
I mean, unless you're talking about the Bills yesterday. No one does. Like the Bills yesterday might look like the best team in the NFL because Josh Allen just looked like a white reincarnation of Michael Vick hurtling over people and just doing the impossible. But Pat Mahomes, like that dude looks scary. We saw him go to the Steelers and ball out and beat them. We've seen him go up against, Jimmy G, who coming into this season was so highly touted to have this great year. And everybody thought that, it was going to finally be him taking this next step. And obviously it sucks to see him injured yesterday. Hope that, he can recover from that as well as he can. But, I mean, the dude looked really good, and their offense flies. They have a lot of guys who can get down the field and get yards after the catch. And when you have a quarterback who's that athletic and feels like that quick, yeah, that team's scary. And maybe they are going to start taking over the AFC. Maybe we do see a changing of the guard. But there's definitely a lot going on in football. It's fun to watch, and I know I can't wait to see how the rest of the season plays out, just like I'm sure y'all can't wait to see how it plays out. We'll all be here to watch it together. We'll be right back.
Good job.
Thanks. That was really – I got really confused if y'all had lost me for a second when he –
No, dude. Did we lose Will? No, we lost Andrew.
Oh, God.
Can we call him back in?
Yeah, I just called him back in.
All right, we're on the Browns.
Did the Steelers go for 2 and not get it?
Let's see. Yeah, Vance McDonald, 75 yards, huh?
Dude, that's a story that could take 12 minutes.
What?
Just the Steelers.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I honest to God, think that if time hasn't run up on the Pats, time has run up on Pittsburgh being good for at least the next 5 years.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's a story on how they all need to lean on Big Ben right now, and the fact that is the story that they all need to lean on Big Ben means that it's over.
Yeah, the dude who thought he was quitting last year.
When you can't lean on AB or Le'Veon Bell or their 2 offensive linemen that are injured, then you have to lean on Big Ben.
No, by the way, they did not go for 2. Chris Boswell missed an extra point by hitting it on the right upright.
What a dick.
Yeah.
I definitely have him on one of my teams.
That's I'm actually playing against him right now in one of my school leagues. But
Fitzmagic does have a touchdown, so that's cool.
Okay. Sorry about that. That's actually never happened, I think, to me. I was the last one. I was the last refuge there. So I guess
the best way is how you left. You're like, oh, we just lost Will. And then you froze.
And then we were all like, nope, we lost Andrew. Just kidding. Oh, God.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll be a funny way to start the next one, I guess. No one's lost. Have you ever seen have you ever seen a better combination of hair beard on a quarterback and hair beard on a center than the Bucs currently have on Monday Night Football?
No.
Because as phenomenal as Ryan Fitzpatrick looks, their center might be even swaggier, just in terms of the dude that he is rocking right now under his helmet.
Is their center the guy who Ryan Fitzpatrick rubs beards with after touchdowns?
Yes.
Okay.
It is.
Then
It
yeah,
is?
you're right. It's strong. Real
Okay.
strong
They
beard
both
on
do
that guy.
Eskimo kiss their beards.
Yeah. Lots of lice, but real strong beards.
Put it up
Yeah.
on the poll, please. Would you rub beards with another man? This is something that Will Mosley brought up. It was either last show or maybe the show before, just about sort of the unsanitary nature of touching beards with another human being. I don't care how many touchdowns a dude throws me or I throw him. I'm not rubbing beards with him under any circumstances.
No chance. Absolutely no chance.
But we're still here on another Monday night, another episode of From the Nosebleeds podcast. I'm sorry for getting lost there for a minute, but I'm back. We're still talking NFL football, and we're going to talk one of Mac Young's favorite subjects, a subject that he hasn't been able to talk about in 700 days. Mac Brown, you can call yourself and your Cleveland Browns winners for at least 1 week. Congratulations, man.
Woohoo! Thank you. Appreciate it.
That was the
I was gonna
lamest
say-
woohoo I've ever heard.
Well,
That
I
was
can make the volume louder and make myself sound like Thor, so it's all right. Because I do all the production.
Fair enough.
That woohoo sounded about as inspiring as Kawhi Leonard's laugh at Media Day today.
That was one of the funnier things that I have seen in a while. And here's something interesting also. You finally had an opportunity to get something interesting out of that dude. You finally had a chance to ask him something about who he is as a person. And all you could get out of him was, I'm a fun guy. And a little laugh. I will say this about Kawhi Leonard's media day, and then we can move back into the Browns. Well, mostly, I've never seen anyone look less interested in being in Toronto for a year.
That's true. I mean, Toronto is known as every athlete who goes there has nothing good but good things to say about the city. Maybe some bad things about having to like play in Canada with the TV rights. But everyone usually is excited to at least live in the city for a year. And he looks over it already.
Here's an opinion that I'm really interested to get from Mac Young right away. Do you feel like you have a quarterback now?
No, because I've had this hype. I've had this hype for quarterbacks before, and it's only been a one-game thing. He only played one half essentially, and he had a great half. He scored 14 points, led the team to a victory. But no, I can't be too hype on it. Otherwise, I'll be kicking myself in the ass in a couple weeks from now if he blows it. I'm not jinxing it right now. They already are going to have a better record than they did last year and the year before. They are at one tie and one win in three games. No matter what they do for the rest of the season, they will already have a better record than they had the past 2 years. I'm trying to be quiet.
Excuse me, Mac. You're being a lot more realistic than a lot of Browns fans, possibly every other Browns fan that I've heard out there who is currently saying that Baker Mayfield is going to be the next John Elway after one half of play. And I agree with what you're saying. What you're saying is obviously the reasonable thing to say. But when you have been so miserable and so bad for 20 years, this is the best you felt in that time. I think that's fair to say. Like, this is the best that Cleveland football has felt, the best that Browns fans have felt in 20 years, at least.
Yeah, dude, that shit was electric. I mean, it was honestly like a Super Bowl. They had, I know we've all heard this, but like Bud Light had refrigerators all over the city, in the stadium, at local bars, just been chained up for like the past few months and weren't going to open it until the Browns got a win, and the Browns got a win, and Bud Light sales went through the roof, even though they're handing out free beers through these refrigerators. They got Baker Mayfield to say dilly dilly in his press conference. I had some friends go up to the game up in Cleveland and had just like the Snapchats, the Instagram videos. It just seemed like a lit place to be, and I can't blame them at all. I've been waiting for this shit for so long. Just a good win that felt earned, that they were the better team, that they beat. Yeah, it was. I jumped up and down, chugged a beer in my living room. It felt good. It felt good to be a Browns fan for the first time in a while.
I think you should be more optimistic. And
I
as the
already
guy
am,
who
dude.
said I think the Browns could go 10-6, I feel like I have to be more optimistic. I still really like Tyrod. It actually made me a little sad to see Baker play so well. But
I did.
he looked good.
He looked really good.
He looked really good. And I think people love to play for him.
I mean, okay. We know that I am on the same bandwagon as Alec, that Tyrod is not a bad quarterback. I don't think he's phenomenal. I think he's serviceable to get you into the playoffs. And based on last year's playoffs, probably like maybe to a conference championship game. But Baker looked really good. I will say the one thing about the Bud Light fridges, there is nothing more Cleveland Brown than those Bud Light fridges having to be opened on a weeknight. There's nothing more Cleveland Brown than those being opened on a Thursday night. That was beautiful. I loved it. The fact that the Jets were the ones to lose to the Browns, I think adds a whole nother dimension, because it might be the franchise that suffers second most in the NFL behind the Browns. They have the butt fumble. They haven't been in the playoffs since like the 80s, I think. Like they're bad. And to watch Browns fans just get to crush another fan base that is that demoralized and that low was kind of enjoyable as someone from the outside watching in. That being said, I'm kind of with Mac. I'm going to be a little cautious on Baker. He played really well, but you also have to think about the fact that the Jets weren't preparing for him to be the starting quarterback. It's a change that did happen at halftime. Now he's the starter. Teams are going to prepare for him, and we'll see how he goes going forward. I think that he's really talented and obviously so athletic. You can do a lot of things with him, but I will be very, very cautious in saying that he's going to, take the league by storm.
Okay, lots of things to unpack there. First things first, for the last 10 years, the Jets and the Browns was the game playing in the porta potty of life, right? In the porta potty of sports, it's the Jets and the Browns playing each other on a Thursday night, right? I don't think it gets much worse than that. But then all of a sudden you sort of inflect two rookie quarterbacks in who have each at this point had one really good game. Well, 1.5 really good games combined. And all of a sudden the game's interesting. And so, Alec, what I would ask you is this, and I'm genuinely curious here. Like, Sam Darnold did the same thing that Baker Mayfield did on Thursday night in week 1. And yet I feel like we're treating Baker Mayfield differently. We're a lot more excited about Baker and encouraged about what he did in a half than we are about Sam Darnold. And all I would ask you is why? Like, what was it about Baker Mayfield's specific performance on Thursday that makes you believe all of a sudden that this dude is the answer?
2 reasons. And first, I'm going to go into the Sam Darnold versus Baker idea. Sam has looked a lot like the player that I think people expected him to be. He's very talented. He's big. He looks like an NFL quarterback. He's turnover prone. So I think that, people thought he was going to have some great games like week 1. He was going to have some bad games like week 3. He's going to have some games where he probably loses then the game. He threw the ball away, had some bad picks against the Browns as well. Baker, on the other hand, did not have a lot of flaws in college, just perceived flaws based off of what the NFL thinks a quarterback should look like. And I'm definitely the type of person who believes in those flaws. That's why I think that Baker and Tyrod are just about as talented a quarterbacks as each other. I don't think there's a really big spread. What I think the difference is, and this is something that I've come to believe very recently, is that maybe the most important part of being a quarterback is totally intangible. I think there are guys who teammates play for, who teammates like to play for, and Baker Mayfield is nothing if not charismatic.
Couldn't have said it better myself, dude. That guy just has a personality that makes you want to run through a wall for him.
I hate
I think he's
everything that you both are saying right now. You think that the reason that Baker Mayfield is the answer is because of the intangibles? That dude was slinging the ball so much harder than Tyrod Taylor ever could. It was staggering, the difference of those halves. Think about it. Think about how open your offense was in the first half, Mac, and then how open your offense was in the second half. The difference to me was that Baker Mayfield was slinging it into tight windows. He was throwing the ball in a split second when Tyrod was hanging onto it and taking sacks and having to throw it away constantly.
I completely agree with you. I think he's a better quarterback, but I also think his personality is much better than Tyrod's. And then, he threw the ball better. The O-line was actually blocking for him. The whole team just played better around him. They were excited about it. He was excited about it. The dude is just a lightning rod, and it was just fun to watch, dude. I hope I get to see more of it. I just don't want to be too optimistic because I've been let down in almost every year of my 25 years. So it's hard for me to get too up on it because there's been a lot of disappointment.
Dude, you said me. Are you going to talk?
I figured we'd cut there because we were running out of time.
Go ahead, dude. I can cut it.
No,
later.
I mean, I think you kind of proved my point right there. The entire team looked better, right? This wasn't a situation of where Baker looked better than Tyrod. Everybody looked better.
That's fucking weird. He just left. Is anyone there?
Yeah, I'm here.
He got up and left.
You're such being a little bitch today.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not really feeling this.
I'll figure something out.
I felt like it just seemed like you had a good end there. And I think like the worst part is we go into somebody knowing they're gonna cut, and then you talk longer than it.
Yeah, no,
I feel
we're
like
fine.
if we cut it where you ended, then we're fine.
Weird.
Yeah, we'll be fine. That was just, I don't understand what just happened. All right, what's next?
NBA.
Jimmy Butler shit.
Okay.
Wolves. Let me pull up a bunch of that stuff real quick. So is he coming back?
I don't know. I'm kind of pissed off.
Yeah, I'm a little confused here. Where are we at? What are we doing?
Butler. Are we all here now?
I'm here, yeah.
Yeah, we ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready if you guys are.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
I mean, God, dude, I'll be honest, man. Like that shit, like it can't be that sloppy at this point.
We can just cut it where Mac ended, though. That's why I didn't say anything, because I felt like if we went
dude,
into
the
a
point
whole
is
other person,
when you do that and we still have shit to say, that cuts the flow so bad, and it sounds sloppy as shit.
but we
when it
just
comes
cut
down to the
off
back
there,
end.
right? At some point, sometimes you don't get to say everything you want to say, and we just cut off there. And it's about producing the show. It's not about actually having, like, getting in everything you want to say.
Okay, but we use a clock for a reason. When you cut it off at 2 minutes, that doesn't give us a chance to give our final thoughts. It just gives you a chance.
We said 2 minutes at the start of Mac talking. We were definitely running into one. It's like, if we have 1 minute short on a segment, that's not going to kill everything.
What kills everything, Alec, is when you say something that doesn't sound like the end of a fucking segment.
Oh my God. Are you fucking kidding me? That's what I'm saying. Mac said something that sounded like the end of a segment. We cut there. No, what?
Chill out,
Seriously,
dude.
what'd you have to say
Don't
that was so
walk
fucking
away.
annoying?
I just think it's fucking hilarious that anytime shit goes wrong with the show, it's my fucking fault for not handling the social media. And yet consistently I'm not the only one fucking up around here.
No one said you're fucking up, dude.
No, but the one time that we had a critical discussion, it was all about me. So when are we going to have a critical discussion about trying to clean up some of the slop and make it better? When? I would just like to know.
Oh, dude,
Let's
I'm
talk
out.
about it now, dude.
I'm sorry.
I have no idea where this is coming from.
I am out.
Don't even fucking deny that the show was better last week when he was not here. Don't even fucking deny it, Mac.
I just don't understand what he's done this time that made it that much worse. He thought that I had an ending spot, dude, and then he just didn't talk. Anyone could have brought it up there. I have the ability to edit what we say. If someone wanted to have a closing argument or a closing comment after me, then they could have said something.
Except not, because he fucking cut it. That's my point, Mac. And it's not just that.
I think there was overreaction on both sides, to be completely honest. I think everyone is acting like children.
Okay, fair enough, Mac, but I'm still sitting here. So
yeah, but you walked away.
Yeah, hold on, guys. All I'm saying is, Andrew, it did bother me a little bit when you just walked away instead of just sitting there and being like, hey, I don't think we handled that properly at the end, Alec. I wish you would have, said, never mind, don't come to me. Like, I think that would have handled it a lot better. When you walked away, that I think did, rub a little bit the wrong way on a couple of us. I'm not against you on the fact that I do think Alec was a little bit loose. Like he didn't use fingers in the beginning, and that hurt us a little bit. And I think that ending cut was sloppy. And I did like the setup that we had last week, and I do want to stick to that. That being said, I don't think that the show was better last week because he wasn't here. I just think the show was better last week because we were all on that, we were all on a really good page last week. I do think there was overreaction on both sides. I don't think Alex should have just left. I think he could have sat there and been like, yeah, sorry, I didn't, that might have been a little sloppy. What I intended to do was Mac, take the end of it. I also think you walking away right then and then coming back and getting a little hot on him was a probably reason why he just left. I don't think anyone is specifically at fault, but I think we all do need to not jump that much at each other because we're, doing this project that does involve so much of us working together.
I think that that's fair. And I think what you're saying is totally fair. I can sit here and take the criticism. The thing that pisses me off now, dude, is that he just left. Like the minute that anyone was critical of what he was doing, he fucking left. I could sit here and take the criticism for days, dude. I understand that I could have been more professional about that. I'm just saying that we've talked a lot about trying to grow the product in the last couple of months, and I think that that's important. I just think that we can be getting better at the content also, and we have the things that we've talked about, getting rid of verbal fillers and those sorts of things, we're doing a lot better at. It's just like, I'm sorry. You talked about rubbing the wrong way. It rubs me the wrong way when at the start of the show we say all these things about how we can make the quality of it better. And then within the first 3 segments, he breaks almost every fucking rule. That's frustrating to me.
I think I'm just trying to step in his shoes. I'm trying to say, like, no, he was not here last week, so he did not know how we operated.
He could have listened to the fucking show, Matt. So that's another.
He might have listened to the show, but he still might have known that that's how we ran through. That's how we ran through. He might have just, even through listening through the show, he could have just been like, all right, they just did the same thing they did, but they did it in a better way or whatever. He doesn't know that we did a step by step. We're going to talk about this. He didn't know that. And then we come through and say, this is what we're doing. And he looked like he wanted to say something. And then we just said, this is what we're doing. So we didn't have his chance for input or whatever. This is what we're doing. And he wasn't as attuned as we were to what was going on, to how well that worked last week. So I will give him a little benefit of the doubt. I'm pretty mad at him for just leaving. I think it's bullshit. But I think we have to, next segment.
Yeah.
If we're all good.
If we're going to try to post this episode at all, we need to get into what we need to get into and get it finished. Okay. I think that, if we don't even have to.
Back end.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm really sorry. Listen, I'll apologize to you guys right now. That might have been unprofessional, but I feel like the basis of what I was saying, there's some logic to what I'm saying there. And maybe if it's not logic, it's emotion. And it's frustrating to me. Just like Mac, you care about the production, and Will, you care about the social media. I care about the content. And when I feel like it can be better, and when I feel like there are obvious ways to fix things and people aren't doing their best to fix those obvious things, that pisses me off. That's all.
Fair. Let's. I think we should handle this discussion again on the back end, though.
Fair enough. Let's just go right now. You want to do 12 or 10? What are we at on time right now?
Let's do.
We do 12.
Yeah, let's do 12 on the whole Jimmy Butler stuff. The whole Wolves situation, all the crap that they have going on.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for listening tonight. My name is Andrew Levin. This is another episode of From the Nosebleeds podcast. Thank you so much again for listening. Please continue to hit us up on Twitter @_the Nosebleeds and subscribe on SoundCloud. Hit the search bar there. It's right at the top. Very convenient. Plug in From the Nosebleeds Sports. That is where you will find us. We have the awesome logo of the nose bleeding, which, let's be honest, kind of makes sense. But something that I found really, really interesting this past week was that with all these NFL storylines going on that we were talking about before, there was an NBA storyline about a fringe star player that sort of overtook the NFL. And I can't remember a time where a story about a player of Jimmy Butler's category sort of took over the NFL's power during a football week in the fall.
First off, I think I'm going to put a little bit more respect on Jimmy Butler's name than it seems like you might be doing right now, because I do have them at that, superstar level. I think he's up there. When healthy last year, he was, shooting to be first or second all team, and he was second, third team all NBA for most of the season until he got injured. And I do think he's a big deal. And for that reason, him dropping a trade demand after only playing 59 games with a team who gave up 3 good young players to get him on there, I think that warrants beating NFL stories. Obviously, everyone knew Jimmy wasn't really happy between the divide between some of the older and younger guys in the Timberwolves locker room. That was documented last year. And we all knew that he probably wasn't destined to stay there after this season. But, do we have another year of a Kawhi Leonard story? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Jimmy Butler's Kawhi Leonard level. I think he's right the tier below that. But I mean, Tom Thibodeau has said he doesn't want to trade for a bad deal just to get Butler out. And yet we have the owner saying he wants it dealt with as quickly as possible. Cat gets this 5-year multi-super contract. Like, what are we looking at? Because I don't know if dealing Jimmy Butler is the best move or just being like, we'll sit if you're going to sit.
So here's the thing for me, and I guess, Will, I'm interested in your opinion on this. I feel like Jimmy Butler is the type of player where if your team gets him, you're excited, but it doesn't intimidate anyone else in the league that your team acquired Jimmy Butler. You know what I mean? Like, there isn't a single team in the league that he could go to where I'm like, okay, that's a difference maker, maybe with the exception of Houston, and that doesn't work for cap reasons.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no, because when he went to Minnesota last year and you did see him pairing up with Wiggins and Cat, there was a lot of promise for that team. Let's not forget that they were the 3rd seed in the West before he got injured. Like, let's not forget that they were beating the crap out of most of the teams in the West, and the only 2 teams that were ahead of them were the Rockets and the Warriors.
So then why do you think he wants out? Other than
why do you think he wants out? Because he plays in Minnesota, and I don't think that Jimmy Butler's personality gets along with players like Andrew Wiggins and Cat, who Karl Anthony Towns is very clearly going to be the star of that franchise. He is Batman. They proved that by signing him to that Supermax contract. And Jimmy Butler, I think, wants to be Batman. He already had to, come along with Rose being the main star and having to kind of push Rose out of the way. Then he leaves Chicago for a team that he's never going to be the number 1 star over Karl Anthony Towns, even though he's a better basketball player probably right now, impactful on the court. So that's why I think he wants to leave. He wants to be the number 1 guy, and I do agree with you. If he becomes the number 1 guy somewhere, that team is not a threat to win a championship.
I just think that we did this with Paul George, and what you're saying now about Jimmy Butler wanting to be a Batman, that's true. Jimmy Butler himself wants to be a Batman. I just dispute the logic behind Jimmy Butler thinking that he could be a Batman. Jimmy Butler is clearly the 2nd best player or the 3rd best player on a team that's good enough to win a championship, excuse me. Probably the 3rd best, right? He's the 2nd best now, at least. Because we all agree that Karl Anthony Towns is a top 10 player in the league, and Jimmy Butler is not that. And so the thing that was most interesting to me about this by far was just Jimmy Butler is not that big of a player in the grand scheme of things in the NBA, and that's no slight to Jimmy Butler. He's a good player. I was just surprised to see that this has become as big of a story as it is.
I agree with Andrew. I think, but I am a little confused on why, other than the fact he wants to get out of Minnesota, he wants to play for a big market. Why does he want to go to LA or New York if those teams are all the teams that he wants to be on are pretty shit? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, other than to be the big guy in a big market. But if he's trying to win championships, then he is not going to be the best player on that team. He's going to have to bring in either Kawhi or Paul George, whoever's up next. I don't see his move.
It's an excellent question. The logic behind going to the Clippers is obviously that they've got enough space to sign another Supermax next summer, and so there's room to work there. The logic to go into the Nets is the one that's a little bit confusing to me, other than maybe Jimmy Butler has just decided that for this 1 year, until the point where he gets to where he can decide where he wants to go, it's all about lifestyle for him. And in a world where this decision may be all about lifestyle, if I'm a Miami, if I'm a Phoenix, if I'm one of those teams that is in a really nice place in the country, can I not sell Jimmy Butler on the idea of lifestyle and getting 35 shots a game and scoring 30 points a night?
I mean, yeah, I don't know if Brooklyn is a lifestyle thing for him. Personally, I'm a little bit more high on Brooklyn's base that they have built up there than a lot of people might be. I think that Brooklyn is getting slept on with the pieces that they've put together. I don't think that, they're a contender by any means, but I don't think that they are one of these teams that's in that bottom purgatory of the NBA where you're just not getting any better. I think that Dinwiddie's really good. I think that D'Lo is really, really good. I still have faith in those players. I think if you plug Jimmy Butler in there in a weakened East, then you're not looking at a team that misses the playoffs, man. I think you might be looking at a 7-8 seed. And if Jimmy Butler's going to be the man, be able to live in Brooklyn, be able to get a Supermax contract and still be able to get into the playoffs and convince himself that he's going to be a chance to, contend. Because it's not about if you can contend, man. It's about if you think that you have a chance to contend. We say it about the NFL every year. It's not that all these teams have a chance to contend, but if you can convince yourself that you do have a chance to contend, you'll stay where you are if you're making enough money and you like where you live. And from what his options that he threw out there, it seems like that's what he wants.
Oh, come on, Will. You can't seriously be suggesting right now that Jimmy Butler can convince himself that he has a chance in Brooklyn.
I actually do believe that he can convince himself that, man. The East is not – there is no one in the East that looks scary besides the Celtics. You can say the Sixers, but at any moment, Joel Embiid could have an injury and Ben Simmons still can't shoot a three-point shot.
I just disagree. I think what Jimmy Butler said with the list that Mac just outlined is that he does not care. He's resigned it for this year, man. He's just going to play out this year of his contract, his last year, and then he's going to sign a free agent deal somewhere else, somewhere where he's going to get a lot of money. And let's be honest, Will, you know the NBA more than I do. I'm a little confused why a team would give Jimmy Butler the Supermax next year. He has so many Tom Thibodeau miles on him, and I think that's another reason that he's trying to get out from under his coach.
Oh, I think the Jimmy Butler trading thing would not have happened if we wouldn't have seen the whole Timberwolves thing come to fruition. If we wouldn't have seen Tom Thibodeau sign Gibson and, all those reports that they would go after Joakim Noah and Derrick Rose and all these players, I think you saw Jimmy unhappy with that team and seeing that it was getting run into the ground. I personally am not sold on Thibodeau as a good NBA coach for a full season. I don't think he can get you to a championship. I don't think he can do it. I think he runs your best players into the ground and gets them injured just like Jimmy did last year. And, yeah, get out from under that and go. Would I sign him to the Supermax? No. But would a team sign him to a Supermax? Yes, man, because it automatically does make you a playoff contender. Not a championship contender, but having Jimmy Butler on your team and a couple good pieces around him, he's proven that it does make you a playoff contender.
But that's what I'm saying, Will. I think my point is that Jimmy Butler has decided that for the next 5 years, no one was winning a championship other than the Golden State Warriors and LeBron James. And so, if no one is winning a championship other than those two teams, why not go live in New York City or Los Angeles and have the lifestyle? That's just the thing for me. This can't be a decision for basketball reasons. I just don't see the logic in that.
I mean, we'll find out, it's going to be really interesting how the situation plays out. Obviously, with the discrepancy with what we're hearing from Thibodeau and the Wolves owner, Cat getting this Supermax deal just adds a whole nother element on top of it because we can guarantee that he's the man for the future now there. So that's kind of washed and done with. I think the whole reason that it might have gotten as big of a storm as it got was a lot, not necessarily to do with the fact that Jimmy Butler was saying these things or that Cat got his deal. The last thing about it, which I think may have been the thing that took the internet by storm more than the basketball world by storm, was Steven Jackson's comments with Nick and Andrew Wiggins on social media back and forth, with Steven Jackson recording videos just trashing Andrew Wiggins and talking about how garbage he is and how his brother isn't even, relevant. That probably, I think, is what, pinballed this to being the top trending thing on Twitter for 5 hours.
And then not just that, dude, but yeah, he also kind of said to Andrew Wiggins, like, come at me, bro. Like, I'm still big and I'll fuck you up. Like, you're a bum for calling me a bum. They were fighting words. It wasn't just like a friendly schoolyard bullshit. It sounded like he kind of wanted to get into Andrew Wiggins a little bit.
It did. It definitely sounded like it, and I'm here for it. Like, let's sign it up. Let's make it possible. Let's do the first From the Nosebleeds pay-per-view with Steven Jackson and Nick Wiggins. 8 rounds of bare knuckle boxing. I'm down. Come join us live. That'll be coming maybe in the next year. We're contacting their people. They're going to contact our people. Andrew, how do you feel about it?
I don't know how I feel about that, but you know what I'm here for, Will Mosley? The segment we have coming up next. This is From the Nosebleeds podcast. Keep it right here.
That was good. I got to pee. Be right back.
Weird.
How much time do you think we have?
I mean, we have a full 12-minute segment to do on it. Okay, so I'm reading here something else on it. Going into this offseason, Butler wanted Minnesota to do what the Rockets did for James Harden in 2014. Or no, last year. So when James Harden signed that additional $170 million through 2023 on top of the 68 left on his original deal, that's essentially what Butler wanted. Like, that's what he was up for this offseason, and they would have had to renegotiate that at the beginning.
Got you.
So they would have owed him essentially the same deal that James Harden has right now. But they've already committed $146 million to Wiggins, and obviously they had to sign Cat. So,
all right, I'm ready for this. I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Yeah, let me pull this list up that I typed out. I gotta find a fucking.
Did he hit you up, Matt?
Yeah. All right.
Where is it? There we go.
That was funny because I was definitely expecting it to be a beer, but it was not. It was the opposite of a beer.
I finished my beer, and I didn't have another one, but I had a LaCroix.
Put it up on the, please put it up on the poll at _ the Nosebleeds. Is LaCroix the opposite of beer? Yes or no? I just can't think of a drink that is more opposite of beer, and I just fully expected you to like crack some sort of Yingling, I guess, because you're a Yingling guy. But it ended up being what? Is that like a lime sort of
mango?
Oh, God, even better. Well, I think it's fair to say that I have not been as excited for one of our top 5 segments in a long time. This is one that I came up with a few days ago, and I'm really interested to hear what your thoughts on it, because there are so many options for this segment, which is our top 5 favorite TV mom. So I guess what we need to figure out first is, how do we want to do this? Do we want everyone to go 5 through 1? Do we want to go everyone's 5s and then everyone's 1s? Snake draft, if you will.
I'm kind of down with a little bit of snake draft, starting at 5, going up to 1.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm really excited for this one because there are so many different directions to go with all the sitcom moms you have and then all the cartoon moms you have. I think those are really the two, at least for me, those are the two heavy categories that I'm going to get into. So I will start it off at my number 5. One of the OG TV moms. She has to be on everyone's list if the list is to be respected. That would be one Carol Brady of the Brady Bunch.
Yep, it was an honorable mention for me. Yeah, she had to be in there.
So I just think in terms of shows that are iconic to anyone who knows television, no matter how old you are, maybe people under the age of 10 now don't know who she is, but certainly in our generation and anyone older, you know and respect the work and the life that was Carol Brady. Mac Young, what's your number 5 TV mom?
So I'm going to go on a similar note, like a TV mom that I kind of grew up with, a show that I watched when I was really young, not for too long, but was a very motherly figure in my TV life, and that was Maggie Seaver. I don't know if you guys watch Growing Pains at all, but it was one of my favorite shows when I was a real little, and just a good classic mom, man. Yeah, I thought that. So that's my 5.
Okay. See, this is hard for me because I have 2 honorable mentions, and I'm really trying to find what 2 are going to be the honorable mentions. But I know that number 5 for me is going to be one that a lot of guys might not relate out there, but every single girl our age will relate to. And I know this mother because my mom and my sister watch this show religiously, so I've seen every episode. And that is Lorelai Gilmore of the Gilmore Girls. And she's gorgeous.
I love you, man.
She's relatable. And, you know, she raised her daughter from the age of 18, so you got to respect it.
Okay, I feel that, man. That was not one that I saw coming tonight. It's already one that I had not anticipated.
Yeah. So I'm actually gonna probably keep y'all on y'all's toes a little bit more here with my number 4 coming back. And it's my only, I have one other sitcom mom after this, never mind. But I got Tammy Taylor from Friday Night Lights.
Fuck, dude, that's
probably going to be a reach that a lot of people weren't thinking of because she's not necessarily, you know, one of the main characters that everyone calls for. But she's absolutely gorgeous, and she makes that show low key.
Are you basing? I just got to ask, dude. Are you basing your TV moms off their hotness radar?
No, Tammy Taylor means a lot to me. She kept that team together.
Because your past 2, you have mentioned that they were attractive, so I just had to throw it in there. I just had to know if that was like in your grading system.
Oh, trust me, there's one that I don't think anyone's gonna consider attractive. But Mac, let's hear your
Come on, Will. Oh, come on, man. All right, Mac, number 4.
I'm gonna throw an animated series at you. We've all watched it. Everyone's seen it. And one of the best shows of all time. We'll go with Lois Griffin from Family Guy. Just such a good show. She's got a lot of good bits in it. I think she's a little bit of an underrated character in that show, but she's pretty funny. So I'm going to put her as my number 4.
Interesting, because I also have Lois Griffin as my number 4. My 4 and my 3, 2 very famous cartoon ladies, each very funny for different reasons. And I think that's the reason they both have to be on the list. They can't be put together. And that would be Lois Griffin at 4. And should I just say it? Marge Simpson at 3. I can't believe that Marge Simpson is only at 3 on my list, but there are 2 TV moms that I felt had to be higher than her, and I can't believe that I'm saying that.
The disrespect is unreal right now to Marge Simpson. Mac, I got to hear where you're going with number 3.
So this is kind of where we see a lot of the same trends is when we're getting to these final ones. And like Andrew copied me, I shall copy him.
There's no way.
Going with my number 3.
There's no way. Y'all are both showing such disrespect to arguably the greatest cartoon of all time.
Hey, you haven't heard my number 2 and 1, bro. You haven't heard 2 and 1.
That hurts. Number 3, I'm gonna go with, similar to maybe the Lois Griffin. A lot of people like this show instead of Family Guy. Shayla Bravlowski. If you don't love Kyle's mom, then you don't love good animated television.
She's not even the best mom on that show. She's not the best mom on that show, Will. With all due respect to Sheila Broflovsky.
We can agree to disagree. Whether it is her or the content that she generates from Cartman hating her, I don't know what it is, but her being on the show makes it that much better. That's why she falls in at number 3 for me. Number 2, I'm going to go back to sitcoms. It's one that I think all of us have watched. Her laugh is infectious. She drinks Kahlua 24/7.
You're going to take my number 1. That's not fair.
Kitty.
That's not fair, man.
That 70s show. She's the mom of all moms. She watches out for all of them. Ashton Kutcher made it through because of her. Fez actually made it through because of her. We saw the evolution of that group go through, and it was all because of that woman chugging Kahlua and laughing and keeping us all lighthearted through all of it. And there's something special, and she probably embodies every stereotype that we think of 70s mothers.
Mac, why don't you give your 2 and your 1 as well now, so we can just go straight across?
Okay, cool. So my 2, I don't think anyone's going to, at this point, I don't think anyone's going to have this one on their list. I've seen the TV show. But Nancy Botwin on Weeds is going to be my number 2. She lost her husband. Family was going through a lot. She decided to start selling weed, put her family through, and just always kept the glue. It was a good show. She's a good mom, and I just love that show. So I had to put her on there. And then my number 1. Dude, there's a lot of similarities, a lot of differences in these lists, but this one is going to be a similarity, I think, for another person that's coming up too soon. And that is also going to be Kitty from that 70s show for the exact same reasons that Will stated, and because she has my mom's name, and because they have the same fucking laugh. I pretty much see Kitty from that 70s show as my own mother. I could never escape my own mom because my favorite TV show is that 70s show, and my mom in real life is Kitty. So it was a 24/7 thing for me.
I mean, see, Mac, now I think you're getting at the heart of why we love these TV moms. It's because we see parts of our own mothers in them. And so this was probably a surprise that these lists ended up being as similar as they were. I will trade you, Will, your Sheila Broflovsky for Sharon Marsh. Here's the reason that I like Sharon Marsh. It's because of her relationship with Randy. Now, you could argue that Randy makes Sharon, and that you could argue that. I think that's kind of fair. I think that's kind of fair. But the interactions that Randy and Sharon have throughout the 22 seasons or whatever it's been of South Park so far are just absolutely phenomenal, and I love her as a TV mom. And then number 1, Kitty Foreman. It has to be. The laugh is infectious. She's incredible. The jokes, the awkwardness. She is everyone's mother in one way or another, and that's the reason that she is my greatest TV mom of all time.
That's fair. That's fair. All of the reasons. I think Kitty being on all 3 of our list at a 1, 1, and a 2 level kind of, seals the deal as her. Coming back to finally give my number 1, I am going to say that y'all put no respect on that woman's name. Marge Simpson is the OG of the OGs. She's the best. You can argue every character on that show is the best. I might argue that I like Marge the best out of all of the characters. What she brings, she's the OG. My last honorable mention, though, that I think a lot of people probably sleep on, but it's one that just always will draw near and dear to my heart. Marianne Hunter Thornberry.
That is
great
deep.
Show.
That's
that
a deep
one
track right there.
You want to talk
Deep
about protecting your Cubs? That lady protects her Cubs.
Will, I'm really sorry, man. I thought you had already given your number one. That's sort of why I moved forward with Max number 2 and number 1. But yeah, I mean, Marge Simpson clearly has to be on pretty much any list that's going to be respected. I just think that Kitty she's perfect. She's the perfect TV mom. And that's the thing about TV moms, man. There's a lot of them. That's what we've discovered over the course of this segment. But please hit us up on Twitter at _the nosebleeds, because I'm sure that we missed at least 10 or 100 TV moms tonight that probably deserve some sort of honorable mention. But again, this has been another episode of From the Nosebleeds Sports Podcast. Thank you so much for listening this evening. Continue to hit us up on Twitter. Subscribe to us on SoundCloud. Hit the search bar. Plug in From the Nosebleeds Sports. That is where you will find us. We will catch you next week. Thanks again, people. Talk to you then.
Love you guys.
And end it.
All right, I'll be right back.
Yeah.